Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface. Welcome back today to this playthrough of Motorsport Manager. We're back with the Williams career that we're doing at the moment, titled The Resurrection of Williams. Things have been going pretty swimmingly this season. We've had only 1 point finished this season, which was the race before the last one. Luckily, Robert Kubica finished that race on the podium, secured us 15 points, which is enough to secure our position in Formula 1 this season. If you're new to Motorsport Manager, you will know that if you finish 10th out of the 10 teams, you will be relegated, which would mean the team at the bottom of the constructors standings after the end of the season will be relegated to F2, but that is all dependent as well on the F2 team accepting the promotion to F1. It's very rare that they usually do not accept that. It does sometimes happen though. But anyway, Kubica has been doing amazingly this season. We'll just have a quick look at the standings. We can see Kubica's up there in 10th. Lance Stroll has lost that seat. He did get injured, which means Kubica stepped up. It wasn't a move we were looking to be making, but after Kubica got his podium finish, there's no reason to be taking him out of the team. Meanwhile, as we look, Sebastian Vettel is leading the constructors the drivers standing just by 1 point over Daniel Ricciardo. They've both got 2 wins each. Fernando Alonso won the last race in Cape Town, South Africa, the equivalent in this game of Monaco. An amazing race for him, pretty much all down to Lewis Hamilton pitting late on, doing 3 pit stops to Alonso's 2. Hamilton finishing 2 seconds behind. That strategy didn't work out for Mercedes at all in the last race. And regards to the constructors, Red Bull sitting pretty at the top, 127 points. Ferrari 110 points for them. Mercedes struggling, no wins this season out of 5 races, 102 points. Then we see McLaren in 4th place. All those 71 points that they have scored this season coming by the way of Fernando Alonso. Stoffel Van Dorn struggling. He's all the way down in last place, so he's actually been the worst driver this season. So I don't know if McLaren are focusing all their efforts, putting the best parts into Fernando Alonso's car. That might be. I don't know if Alonso's regarded as the #1 driver there or whether they've got equal status. Meanwhile, if you've been watching this series previously, you will know. Stumbling over my words there. You will know that I have set myself sort of a restricted upgrade schedule. The first one was Tondela, the Portuguese Grand Prix, where we could introduce Aero parts. This time it's Vancouver, where we can introduce power upgrades, which covers engine, gearbox and brakes. And then after that it's just Milan and Phoenix, where we're just free to introduce any upgrades that we want. So we've got a few new upgrades going into the car this time. We do have new gearboxes going into the car, a tiny improvement, but we can work on that between upgrades going into the car. We can work on tweaking these, so we can keep working on these up to their main potential, and a little upgrade on brakes. We've evened out the parts this time between Sorokin and Kubica to keep both drivers happy. Last race we gave Kubica the better parts, so we've gone a little bit more equal with the parts. Just see how close these drivers are. Maybe move Sorokin up a little bit. Whether that happens or not, as you can see, we're just currently working on improving the performance at the moment and getting the right reliability up to scratch. We do have a rear wing at 797, which can get up to an 832. We can't actually put that in the car at the moment. It's not in anyone's car, and that is because, as I said, we cannot introduce Aero parts until Milan. This is just based around the engine, gearbox and brakes for the next race. So anyway, we're at the start of the Vancouver Grand Prix. I think everything else is ready. We'll just have a look at the pit crew. I think that's pretty much there, no mistakes. A couple of tired people, but I don't think we'll be making any mistakes with that pit crew. So we'll just jump in, we'll set up that, and it's always the same tyres I like to take, usually just 2. We'll take 3 of those, so then we've got 2 for the race in case we need them. It is 38 laps in Canada. Tyre wear is high, so we might need 2 sets of the soft tyres. Won't know until we actually get through to the race and both drivers content. So we'll jump through practice and qualifying, and we'll be back in a second to go through the grid order. So here we go with the grid for the Vancouver Grand Prix. Things a little bit more back in order If you remember back to the last qualifying session, we had Kevin Magnussen in the Haas on the front row of the grid. But anyway, let's get down this grid. Vettel in pole position in the Ferrari. Hamilton second place in his Mercedes, doing a little bit better. I think he was down about 6, and Valtteri Bottas was about 8th last time. The second row is taken up by Kimi Räikkönen. The championship leader, Daniel Ricciardo, is in 4th on the second row. Max Verstappen in 5th place, followed by Fernando Alonso, who won the last race. Valtteri Bottas all the way down in 7th place, still underperforming this season. Nico Hülkenberg in the Renault on the 4th row. Renault have been qualifying alright, but their race pace has been absolutely terrible season. Bottom of the constructors. Kevin Magnussen, after his outstanding performance last time in qualifying, sees himself in 9th place. His teammate just behind him in 10th place, Romain Grosjean. Carlos Sainz is in 11th place in the second McLaren. Stoffel Van Dorn improves a little bit this time around into 12th place. Charles Leclerc, a good qualifying session there in the struggling Sauber this season, 13th place. Sergio Perez, still injured with a dodgy neck, 1 week left on that, in 14th place. Brendan Hartley in the Toro Rosso, 15th. The second Force India of Esteban Ocon in 16th. Pierre Gasly, who's injured as well with a dodgy neck. Seems like everyone's got dodgy necks at the moment, in 17th. Robert Kubica 18th. Sergei Sorokin 19th. And Marcus Ericsson bringing up the rear in 20th place for the Sauber. Kubica, he has, over the last couple of qualifying sessions, his last qualifying lap has been absolutely outstanding, which has thrown him up the order. His last lap this time around was was slower than his previous 2 laps, so he finds himself a little bit further down the order than what he has been doing, although it is the position that we would be expecting to see our drivers in. We've got a split strategy here, as we saw in the last race. Undercut was working really well. As the undercut worked, we were trying to go long on a lot of our pit stops, and we've got someone running wide there. That was Kimi Räikkönen, ran wide on the first corner, so all the way down in last place. Kubica's had a really poor start, sees himself in 19th place. Meanwhile, Sorokin has managed to move up the order a little bit. He's in front of, he's just ahead of Kubica, isn't it? That's the only move he's actually made, although he's going down the outside of Brendan Hartley. Can he make it stick? Although Marcus Ericsson moves up between them both. And Kubica makes a move as well, as we're going to see Kimi just power through. We've got no chance of really holding a Ferrari up this early on in the Grand Prix. We're just going to look after these tyres as well, because it's looking pretty hot as the weather. Going to have some periods of sunshine, 26 degrees, dropping it to 25 degrees, so these tyres are going to stay just around this. We want to make sure we can do a 2-stop strategy around this track, so we're just going to cool off. And the AI is already looking to do that. They're going low mode already. We're just going to stick it in neutral, see what we can get to. Kubica's dropped back down the order as well, down into 19th place. Sergei Sorokin, meanwhile, doing pretty decently, 16th place. Kimi Räikkönen struggling there, although he dives up the inside of the Haas, and the Force India of Esteban Ocon moves himself up. And there we see Sorokin make the move on Kevin Magnussen as well, who's really dropped down the order. Although Kevin Magnussen's going to get the inside line into this chicane, and Kevin Magnussen makes it stick. Kubica, though, really struggling in 18th place. We're not going to really get him to push, because we just want to sort of look after these tyres. Or should we have him push for a lap? Maybe try and move him out, because he's really underperforming at the moment, Kubica. His form's slightly off at 4.7. Sorokin's in pretty decent form, at 6.9 for him. 16th place. Both our cars lapping at the 111. Kubica's not really that much quicker, considering he's on the faster compound tyre. Yeah, we're not going to order into race, because we don't want our two getting in the way of each other. The last thing we need is our drivers hitting each other and both having to pit. So it looks like it's going to be a fairly pedestrian race this time around. There's not much we can do to change the order here with this first pit stop out of the way. Maybe we can change up Kubica's strategy. You can do 13 on this, 26. And then a stint on the soft. We're going to be going super soft, soft, and then super soft. But if we go super soft, 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 maybe we can get this first tyre out of the way. Just let's get pushing on this tyre, see if we can move him up the order. So should we order Sorokin to let him through? Is Kubica going to struggle to get past him? Yeah, we're going to have to use team orders. We need Kubica to make this move stick. We don't really want to slow Sorokin down, but we don't really want to hold up Kubica either. No, this is not even working, is it, for him to get past? And there Kubica makes that move. So we're just going to run through this tyre. Get Kubica in, give him some free air. Some clear air down the back there. And we've got a car pitting already. Who's that? Perez. The Force Indias, they always have one car just go through their tyres really quickly. Just like we're doing this time, but we're even with the way we're pushing Kubica, he's not really making up any ground on these other cars. It's a 111. It's only about 3/10 quick, although he makes that move on Esteban Ocon, moves himself up into 14th. Sorokin, meanwhile, these tyres getting a little bit hot. We're just going to try and get as far as we can on those soft tyres. Sorokin on a totally different strategy here. And we've got, who's that coming in as well? Gasly's going to be pitting this lap. So we're going to get in this lap as well. We're going to go for the soft tyre. We'll go balance. We are pretty quick with the pit stops, so whether we can get out ahead of, who's that? Kevin Magnussen in front, and Kimi Raikkonen's also pitted as well. So can we get out in front of the Haas? We do have better pit stops, and there we go. We move out in front. Can we get out in front of the Ferrari as well? No. And we'll just push for one lap, and then we'll start regaining fuel for Kubica. Sorokin, meanwhile, on 11th place. Those places picked up due to the pit stops. We'll just try to cool those tyres down, look after those tyres. Right, so we can turn down on these now. We're not really going to be battling. We'll go to... No, we're going to do one lap out, aren't we? We'll do one lap. Or maybe two. No, just... We'll do 1.5. We'll compromise. So we'll come down the back straight, and then we sort of need to cool these tyres down a little bit. Sort of look after these from this point forward. So Kubica in a pretty good position here. Just going to have to see where everything sort of feeds back out after the pit stops. And we're going to go neutral now with Sorokin. So everything's just sort of being managed now. Try and recover this fuel mode as well. Going to have to turn that down. Sort of cool these tyres down a little bit, because we don't want them overheating and fading away a lot quicker than we're expecting. Although we can go onto another soft tyre and get that through to the end of the race, so there's nothing to worry about there. Sorokin currently 7th place. His net effect probably last place at the moment. His other car's going a lot quicker than him. He's doing a 110. There's not really that much difference than what they're doing at the moment. A lot of these cars in the 111s as well, so Sorokin doing pretty well here. So should we get one of his pit stops out of the way, get him on to another soft tyre, and then he can finish on a super soft. We'll do what we did with Kubica and sort of get Sorokin pushing a little bit. I know his tyres are going to overheat, but he can do a couple of laps. He's currently 5th place. He's got a lot of clear air. The clear air strategy didn't quite work for Kubica, because a lot of the other cars pitted fairly early as well. Obviously they were on the ultra softs. So Kubica just waiting. Yeah, we're going to be nowhere near the points. So we're going to get a couple of laps pushing here. 109 for Sorokin, does a 109.2. Let's see how far. We think we can get another 2 laps out of that soft tyre at least before it starts to fade away. With the hardest compound tyres, you've probably heard me say before, you can take it all the way pretty much down to being threadbare. And Sorokin does a 109.5, so we're just going to go back into push on these tyres, and he's going to get in for his 2nd pair of soft tyres of the race, and then he'll be finishing on a pair of super softs. So Sorokin now push into the pits. We won't go overtake mode, because we're just going to... Don't want to get the fuel running too low. And then we'll see where Sorokin feeds back out onto the track, almost up with Kubica there, which is pretty good considering Kubica's been on the fresher tyre for quite a while. That's not a bad stint there from Sorokin. Meanwhile, he's on this, so he's going to have to look after this tyre now. Meanwhile, we've got Kubica who can do another 11 laps on this, so he's pretty comfortable for getting onto the super softs. If we go easy on this soft, we might be able to finish on an ultra soft. And if we go hard on it, we can come in for another soft tyre if we do need to, if these tyres fade away a little bit more. But look at that. Sorokin's form's at a 9.3 now. So maybe we should get back up into neutral for Kubica. Sorokin, meanwhile, has Hartley just come out of the pits just in front of him. So we've moved up the order a little bit. We're doing pretty well in 12th and 14th. Everyone has made one pit stop already. We've got some cars who might be doing 3 stops, so there is a couple of places to be made up maybe, as we see Raikkonen feed into the pits, still struggling after running wide in that first corner. He's all the way down in last place now, coming in for his second pit stop. Moves Kubica up to 11th place. Obviously he's going to be on quicker tyres, and he's gone on to a pair of used soft tyres, so I don't know what he's actually got left. He's coming for a pair of used soft tyres, which is rather strange. So Raikkonen totally out of this race in the early going here. Kubica, as we hit the halfway point, or yeah, pretty much, yeah, we've hit the halfway point now. Kubica moves up into 10th. We see Pierre Gasly hit the pits, Carlos Sainz as well in the pits. So a lot of these teams coming into the soft, so they're going to be going for a 3-stop strategy. It might give us the chance of getting one of our cars, if not both, into the points. I think Sorokin's just outside. Are we going to see any of these other ones? Alonso as well, after his heroics of getting through in the last race to doing 2 pit stops, has made his second pit stop fairly early, and he's onto a pair of used softs as well. So I don't know what the AI has done with their tyre choices. Really strange. I don't know whether they burnt through them all in practice, whether they burnt the water done in qualifying, or whether they don't trust the ultra softs around this track. But Kubica up in 9th, so we're going to be seeing Alonso pit again. We do have track position on him now, which is good going for us. These tyres getting pretty hot. There's 17 laps remaining, so maybe we should try and conserve these, and then we can get back onto the quicker soft tyre to finish the race on. Meanwhile, Sorokin doing pretty well at the moment. 11 laps he can do on these, so maybe we can start pushing with him a little bit more, get these tyres going. And we're going to have to start recovering the fuel now as well with him, so switch up, pushing the tyres to, and that is Kevin Magnussen, I think, has just got back past him. So we have Kubica up in the points, and this is looking good for maybe a 10th place finish. I don't think we're going to be able to hold off Alonso, but Alonso does have to pit again. What are we doing? 109s for Kubica. He's going pretty well at the moment. 109, 110.1, and we've got more cars coming into the pits. That's Hulkenberg into the pits now. Moves Kubica up into 8th place. 15 laps remaining. So we can take this down. We can do another 4 laps. So hopefully pretty comfortably going onto that super soft tyre. We're just going to hold on to this soft tyre for as long as we can, and then we know we can definitely get the super soft through to the end of the race. Sorokin, meanwhile, we know he can definitely do it. We can maybe even push these tyres a little bit more. We've hit the tyre down to a 30%, but obviously we can take these down to 0% without losing much performance. Alonso, meanwhile, has managed to get back past. We're seeing some of the other cars starting to pit now. Magnussen, Perez, I think Verstappen's just been in, although we're nowhere near in a position to be racing Verstappen. He's right behind Sorokin and will make this move. The Red Bull easily powering past down that back straight. Kubica, 8th place still for him. Alonso is in front. Bottas has made his second pit stop. Hamilton, 11 seconds behind the leader, has got 2 pits. It looks like he came in for a pair of used soft tyres as well. Whether the AI only takes 2 pairs of soft tyres to a race. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to win this battle at the front. Vettel on a pair of super softs that might be able to see him through to the end of the race. He's in contention as well, so just have to keep an eye on what's going to be happening down the front of the grid. And we've got 10 laps left, so let's get a lap of pushing, and maybe even 2. Let's see what we can sort of do here with Kubica, and we're going to get him into the pits for this pair of super softs now. Pit strategy balanced. Shouldn't be making a mistake with the pit stop. And where we're going to be at feedback out, 65 seconds. We're going to be pretty far down the order. So for some reason we're a long way down the order from where we thought we would be. But obviously a lot of these other cars are going to be making their second pit stops. So it's just going to depend where we feed back out here, isn't it? And we're going to get Sorokin in for his pit stop as well. He can get out on the super softs as well. And we'll just have to watch the tyres. The front wing could have some problems. We're behind a Force India at the moment with Sorokin. Can we beat him out of the pits? We know we do have quicker pit stops, but is it enough to get back out for a pretty quick pit stop from the Force India guys as well? And forgot to turn Kubica down, so we might have to look after this tyre. Although pushing with him to try and get it back up the order. There's a couple of cars here which are catchable. But it looks like we're just going to be just outside the points. Have we been lapped? Yes, we have been lapped, so we've got some fuel. But we can't risk pushing the fuel at the moment, though. Just in case we unlap ourselves when these cars come into the pits. I don't think... Yeah, we could unlap ourselves. Where is Ricardo? We have unlapped ourselves, so yeah, we couldn't push on the fuel. Ricardo has pitted. Where is he going to feed back out here? Looks like a long time in the pits for Ricardo. It's going to be tight coming out. Ricardo rejoins back in first place. Hamilton has had to make a third pit stop like we suspected, as has Alonso. So Hamilton behind his teammate Bottas. Van Dorn having a pretty good Grand Prix, although he still has to pit, but he could feed back out around in front of Verstappen. So McLaren, Van Dorn's going to finish ahead of his teammate maybe for the first time this season. Kubica, meanwhile, 13th place for him. These super softs looking like they're pretty comfortable to get to the end of the race. We can get him back in high mode for a little bit, still recovering some fuel for Sorokin. So what are we looking like? Ericsson does need to pit. Hartley would possibly need to pit. So these two are catchable if they pit. So should we get going on the fuel? We're just watching them. Where are they? They've both actually ended up in the pits, right? So we're going to push down this pit straight. See if we can get out in front. We're not going to get out in front of Hartley. And we're going to go back down. 11th place. I don't think we're going to catch Hartley. He's a pair on a fresh pair of Ultra Softs. Ericsson's on a fresh pair of Super Softs. We can't really catch. We've got really no chance of catching Hartley. So 11th place again for Kubica. It looks like he's going to be settling in. Sorokin in his usual 16th place at the moment. Raikkonen still struggling. Have we got Hulkenberg all the way down in last place? 4 pit stops for him. Renault still really struggling. I don't know if it's to do with their strategies or whatnot. And there we go. Seeing Sainz make his 4th. That's probably going to be his 4th pit stop of the race. Or was it his 3rd? No, it is his 4th. Both Renault's right down there in last place. Van Dorn has made his 2nd pit stop, got out into 5th place as well. Ricciardo pretty comfortable at the front, doing 107.3s. He's quicker than Vettel, so it looks like Ricciardo's pretty much got this race in the bag. And let's get back into medium, start pushing. These tyres are pretty warm now, we need them to last. Sort of doing well to be keeping up with Hartley, even though he's on the quicker tyre. We're only 4 tenths slower than him. Sorokin, meanwhile, he's not much to gain for him, so we'll just keep him going steadily as he is. His tyre's really hot for Kubica, so we're going to have to try cool him down. We want to try and hold on to this 11th place, so we'll cool him down a little bit, and then we'll put it back into neutral, just so they don't hit the upper echelon of that red, and they don't overheat too much. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep Ericsson behind us, and the front wing is almost falling off for Sorokin. So we're now 3 seconds behind Hartley, 2.9. Although we're gaining back on Hartley once again. Are we going to be quicker than him in this lap? So a bit further down the road. No, he's started going quicker again now. Pushing that car. Yeah, Hartley's pushing those tyres to the limit. These tyres are almost about to fade away for Kubica, so we might be losing a couple of places. We've got Raikkonen behind us as well in the Ferrari. I doubt we're going to be able to hold him off. The front wing is at 15% still for Sorokin. We can get him pushing in high mode. Yeah, these tyres really hot. Not much we can do about it. Maybe just have to go into backup mode. We've got the 2 Ferrari powered cars, the Works Ferrari team and the Sauber battling away here. Ericsson on the quicker tyres, managing to hold Raikkonen off, which is pretty good for us in that we might be able to keep this 11th place as we go into the final lap of the race. Whether we can keep Ericsson behind or not, that's another thing. We do have some fuel to push on this last lap as well. Sorokin's finished because he was lapped. Meanwhile, Kubica, can we just hold on to this 11th place? Would be a pretty decent finish considering where we were after qualifying. Raikkonen finally gets past these tyres. Look like they're dying as we're coming through to the last few corners. Are we going to lose both these places? Can we keep the Sauber behind at least? No, we can't. Oh, these tyres just died, although Kubica manages to stay ahead of Magnussen. So we only lost 1 place there. Did someone come into the pits or someone else lose their tyres? Well, we finished 12th either way. Not too bad of a race. Those tyres just falling away before the last 2 corners. So not too bad of a result. I'm not worried. Well, not too worried. We do have that big points finish. We do see Brendan Hartley demoted. 10-second time penalty. He must have hit Verstappen at some point. Daniel Ricciardo wins the race, so he's extended his lead in the Constructors' Championship. No, he didn't. It's the Red Bulls have extended their lead in the Constructors, or should have done, because I think Raikkonen was still outside the points. But the win puts Daniel Ricciardo above Vettel in the Drivers' Championship, so Red Bull really happy. They've now got a 29-point lead in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes still struggling, although have gained some ground on Ferrari, with Raikkonen finishing outside the points. Meanwhile, we're still on 15 points. I don't think we're going to be caught by any of the three teams below us, so we're looking pretty happy with this. We do want to try and catch the Haas team, because any sort of position we can pick up from this point forward would result in a little bit extra prize money for us. I'm not sure by how much we would get an extra prize money, but maybe if we can pick up another couple of points throughout the season. Haas, though, Magnussen and Grosjean doing pretty well this season, so it might be a little bit of a task trying to catch up with them. Meanwhile, we have a new unlock for Robert Kubica, pit stop Guru refueling, although we won't be using that. We came 8th overall. Our marketability is currently at 97%. We're still gaining there. Stroll's improving a little bit, so Sorokin's improving a little bit. So we do have to sort of think about the driver market for next season. I think Kubica is sort of doing well enough to maybe have the number 2 seat. Maybe we could be looking at a 4-star driver coming in. Valtteri Bottas' contract is up, depending on what happens with him and Mercedes. I don't think he would be... Oh, he's considering offers because he's not actually happy at Mercedes, but he doesn't want to rejoin the Williams team. He has been disappointing this season for Mercedes. I'm guessing he's really unhappy. I don't know what's making him unhappy. He's just unhappy each race, maybe with the finishing position. Maybe Mercedes are giving Lewis the better parts and that's making him unhappy. There are a few guys from IndyCar like Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, Will Power as well, rated pretty highly. I don't know whether they'd be interested. They're too highly rated to be joining the bottom of the run, as we are with the worst team overall. Sebastian Buemi, could we bring him back to Formula 1? He's interested. Pretty decent. His marketability is pretty decent as well. So there's a couple of options here, as well as Alexander Rossi as well. Timo Bernhard as well. Could be a decent option, although he's pretty old and he's below 4 stars. So we sort of want above 4 stars. So Alexander Rossi in his overtaking is pretty good. Sebastian Buemi. You know, there is a couple of options there for who we could be going for. Sergio Perez rated pretty low here for having Sergio Perez around 3.5. I think that's a little bit low. I'm guessing that's due to his injury though. Maybe he's a 4-star rated driver. Would Perez be interested in joining our team? He would be. It's sort of a weird photo for that. It looks a little bit on the heavy side of that photo, does Perez. Roman Grosjean as well. He's injured as well at the moment. Just a lot of dodgy necks at the moment in this Formula 1 save. Would he be interested? Yeah, so there's quite a few options to be considering going into next season of who we would want to sort of bring in to try and improve the team. Sorokin doesn't have much upside to him in this game. Robert Kubica has claimed that he'll break seem to be holding the team back. They do. We'll just say he needs to button. It's going to upset him, but we don't want to upset the chairman. Pit crew review. 2.338, which is 6 tenths down on our quickest, although we do have some people set out at the moment. Try to recover. Lance Stroll is now listening to offers, and Ricciardo wins the Vancouver Grand Prix. So that is it. We have the Guildford Grand Prix, our home Grand Prix, coming up in the next race. As usual, it's possibly going to be a really heavy rain, although a chance of sunshine, so we're going to get some varying conditions for the next race. Rain in practice as well, although light rain, so it could be an interesting race next time round. But anyway, that is it for this episode. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment with what you think we should do regarding the driver market going into next season. If you're not already following me either on Twitter or Facebook, go ahead, the links are down below. Whatever, you don't have to, but consider it. consider it, because I'll probably be following the Formula 1 practice sessions and F2 and all the stuff, posting about those sessions on Twitter. Starting to get more involved with Twitter, so go ahead and follow. But anyway, that is it. Until next time for the British Grand Prix, I have been Fuzzy Face. Goodbye.